What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing something a little different. I was watching a video yesterday, and somebody mentioned doing a video on college, football picks, and I thought to myself, well, why not I try it? I'm usually fairly accurate with picks. I know last basketball season, the 24-25 season, I was probably shooting about 90% accuracy, of course, until March Madness came. But yeah, so figured I'd go ahead and just give it a try. This is probably going to be like a talk only thing, so I put some stuff up in the background, put up some rookie cards that have college logos on it. I got my two teams I support: Illinois State, FCS school, and my Wisconsin Badgers. Again, I don't claim to be an expert on any of this. Week one's usually, relatively easy, just because it's a bunch of smaller schools playing the big schools, just to get their season started. So we'll go over week 0, which had about 10 games, or not even, like 5-6 games. Then we'll go into headlines, and then we'll get into the picks by the day. So week 0 finals, Iowa State took down Kansas State 24-21 over there in Dublin, Ireland. I did pick Iowa State to win, so I was 1 for 1. I didn't pick any of the other games. Really didn't have time. I was at a fantasy football draft, and so didn't really have time. But UNLV barely survives Idaho State 38-31. For those of you who don't know, Idaho State is an FCS school. They were leading at halftime, and then they just couldn't finish it off, and UNLV got out of there with a win. Kansas had a easy win over Fresno State, 31-7. Western Kentucky scored 5 touchdowns and 401 passing yards in their win over Sam Houston, 41-24. And then Hawaii upset Stanford 23-20. And their kicker, in case people missed it, he was actually born in Japan, watched YouTube videos on how to kick, went over to a JUCO school in the Midwest, I can't remember which state it was, to learn English, and then went over to Hawaii to finish up his college playing career. And he drilled actually 2 field goals within like the last 5 minutes or so, to give Hawaii the win over Stanford. So that was week 0. They call it week 0, week 1, kind of the same thing. It's just kind of like the teaser for college football. Some of the headlines for this week is Boise State's run game. Obviously, they don't have Ashton Jeanty this year, so they relied heavily on him last year, and then this year they're starting out ranked 25th, and we'll see how their run game is. App State plays Charlotte in the Duke's Mayo Classic at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. I think that is on Saturday. Texas at Ohio State. Which leads into the next headline is Arch Manning. We'll see what he does. He has full reins pretty much over this Texas offense, and we'll see what he can do over Ohio State on the road. Next up, we got Florida State. Obviously last year, one of their worst seasons I think ever. Just struggled to win anything. I think one of their wins was over Charleston Southern, and they only beat them by they really should have blown them out, but they didn't. Obviously it'll kind of snowball when they lost to Georgia Tech. And then you got LSU at Clemson, the 9 versus the 4. Should be a good game. I think LSU is going to be a road warrior and go in and win. But we'll have to see. Notre Dame's at Miami on Sunday. I think 6 at night or something like that. Tennessee Volunteers extended their head coach through 2030. He is currently 37-15 with Tennessee. So shout out to Johnny Serena, big Tennessee Vols fan. Make sure everybody's up early on Saturday morning. Lee Corso's last college game day. Of course, he's getting ready to retire. They were going to do it last week, but they didn't want him to go all the way over to, what was it, Ireland. So they just kind of didn't do it outright, and they would end up doing it this Saturday morning. And then the last headline for the week is going to be Bill Belichick. Obviously, him being a new coach for UNC Tar Heels. It's going to be interesting. He took all the turf out and replaced it with grass. And recruiting game has, I think, dropped. I don't think he's, with the recruiting as some of the other coaches are. So, yeah. We'll have to see what he can do. Obviously, he had great success in the NFL with the Patriots. And now we'll see what he can do in the college world with Tar Heels. All right, we'll go ahead and get into our picks. Most of these were, I'd say, relatively easy. It's a lot of FCS schools or lower tier FBS schools playing, some of the bigger FBS schools. So it wasn't relatively hard. I'm assuming next week and obviously as we progress through the season, the picks and the games will get a lot better. But we'll start off with the games on Thursday. I did it in order, from game time start, and then we'll just go from there. So Boise State's at South Florida. I picked Boise State. Ohio Bobcats versus Rutgers. Picked Rutgers to win that one. Bowling Green's hosting Lafayette. Got Bowling Green winning that one. ECU is at NC State. It was a close game last year. I think it was within like a touchdown. I think ECU ended up winning, but we're going to go with NC State this year. Got Jacksonville State at UCF. Got UCF winning that one. Delaware State is at Delaware. Got Delaware winning that one. UL Monroe is hosting St. Francis. I got UL Monroe winning that one as well. I think Wyoming is going to win on the road against Akron. Central Arkansas is at Missouri. I have Missouri winning that one. Elon is at Duke. Duke should win that one. Got UT Martin versus Oklahoma State. Again, another team at home that should win in Oklahoma State. Buffalo's playing at Minnesota. Got Minnesota win that one. And then the next two we have the home teams winning as well. SF Austin versus Houston. And then Alabama State at UAB. And then got three more games. Got Nebraska winning on the road against Cincinnati. I have Wisconsin beating Miami, Ohio at home. And then Stony Brook versus San Diego State. I have picked San Diego State to win that one as well. All right, we'll go ahead and get into Friday's picks now. Friday's got, it looks about like 10 games. Got Tarleton State taking down Army. For all these, I just pulled up ESPN just to, they have all the games on there. ESPN had Army taking down Tarleton State, but I have a feeling that Tarleton State's going to win. No rhyme or reason. I got Michigan State defending their home turf against Western Michigan. I have Kennesaw State losing to Wake Forest. I have Charlotte taking down App State in the, I think, Duke's Mayo Classic. Again, App State was favored, but I think Charlotte's going to win. That's their hometown. They're playing in Charlotte where the Panthers play. So I think Charlotte could win that one. Got Bethune at Florida International. FIU also. FIU I have winning. Same with Illini taking down Western Illinois at home. Wagner matches up with Kansas. Kansas won last week, I think, Fresno State. So I got them jumping to 2-0. Auburn is on the road against Baylor. Again, Baylor was predicted to win, I think, but we're going to go with Auburn. Georgia Tech taking down Colorado. I think Colorado was picked, but it seems like in recent years, Colorado always has a slow start, and then they kind of pick it up towards the end of the season, or vice versa. I can't remember. I don't keep it with Colorado much, but we're going to go with Georgia Tech, Yellow Jackets. UNLV, I think, is going to beat Sam Houston. Now, UNLV almost lost to FCS school last week, but they did put up a lot of points, and Sam Houston only put up 21 points, I think. So we'll go with UNLV. And then last game for Friday, Central Michigan's at San Jose State. I think San Jose State's going to win that one as well. Now, a lot of these, the home team's probably going to win. Like I said, it's not, any big matchups, really. I think there's just a handful. Yeah, so got Texas versus Ohio State. I did pick Ohio State to win this one. They're home. And then Texas really has to rely on Arch Manning to see if they're going to win that one. Tennessee beating Syracuse at home. Mississippi State's for playing on the road against Southern Miss. I think they'll be road warriors and go in and win. FAU is playing at Maryland. A couple Big Ten wins I predicted. Maryland beating FAU, and then Purdue taking down Ball State. Tulane hosts Northwestern, which we have picked Tulane to win that one. Got Duquesne at Pitt. Pitt was pretty good last year. I think they started off like 6 or 7-0, and then they really just crumbled apart at the end. But we're going to pick Pitt to win this one. Navy versus the Virginia Military Institute, also VMI. We're going to pick Navy to win that one. I think I picked Navy and Air Force to win, and then Army not so lucky. Merrimack's playing at Kent State. We're going to pick Kent State to win. I can't remember. I don't think it was Kent State, but it might have been. That was winless last year. I'll have to look at that. Toledo is playing on the road at Kentucky. We have Kentucky taking them down. Boston College hosts Fordham. And we have Boston College winning that one as well. The next 5 games, we have the home teams winning. Robert Morris is at West Virginia. UConn hosts Central Connecticut. I think UConn and Notre Dame are the only independent teams, right, who don't belong to a conference. Old Dominion is at Indiana. We'll see what Indiana does. I think they're starting off ranked, 18th. I think they're one of those teams that plays good until, playoffs hit, and then they're not really all that good. Eastern Kentucky is playing at Louisville. I think Cardinals are going to win that one. And then Nevada is at Penn State, which Penn State should run them over fairly easy. Marshall's playing at Georgia. I picked Georgia. I know Marshall's had their upsets. They beat Notre Dame not too long ago. I think they had another, but I think Georgia's not going to... They might struggle at the beginning, but I think they'll end up winning. Alabama at Florida State. I think Florida State's going to start off 0-1, and Alabama's going to pick up the win. South Dakota, I believe, is an FCS school. They are on the road against Iowa State. Got Iowa State winning that one. South Dakota's 0-5. They finished 0-5 last year in the last 5 games. So They need a little turnaround. Air Force is hosting Bucknell. Got Air Force winning that, as I said earlier. Temple is on the road against UMass. I think the Minutemen are going to lose to Temple. Holy Cross is playing at Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois started off hot last year. They beat Notre Dame to kick off their season. I think they'll start off 1-0 this year as well. Oregon is home against Montana. They should pick up the home win, same as Liberty. Liberty hosts Maine on Saturday, Saturday as well. Alabama A&M is making the trek up to Arkansas Razorbacks, where I think they will lose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 9 more games for this sheet. I think all the home teams are going to win. Chattanooga is on the road against Memphis. University of Albany is at Iowa. Illinois State versus Oklahoma. I think my Illinois State Redbirds are going to get demolished. But, it is what it is. Coastal Carolina is going up the state to Virginia. That could be a good game. I think Coastal might have a chance to win, but I think Virginia is going to hold out. James Madison is hosting Weber State. They should pick up the win there. Florida Gators are playing Long Island at home. Should win there. North Dakota versus Kansas State. I know North Dakota struggled last year as well. So Kansas State should pick up the win, although they lost to Iowa State last weekend. UTSA is at Texas A&M. Texas A&M, I think, is ranked to start the year. They should pick up a win there. And then Charleston Southern is playing at Vanderbilt, which I have a classmate of mine who's at Charleston Southern on the offensive line, but I gotta go with Vandy right there. I think they still have their quarterback from last year. I think Pavia. We'll see what he does there. Kind of reminds me of Johnny Manziel. Doesn't really want to leave college football. So we have, looks like, probably about 15 or so more games for Saturday. Austin Peay's on the road against Middle Tennessee. We're going to take Middle Tennessee to win that one. North Alabama is playing at Western Kentucky. We're going to take Western Kentucky to go 2-0 to start their season. Arkansas State should win at home against Southeast Missouri. Same for South Alabama, who's hosting Morgan State. Nichols, I believe, is an FCS school. I think they won or almost won last week. I'm not exactly sure. They play at Troy. Troy should pick up the home win. LSU versus Clemson, and again, one of the few heavyweight matchups for this week. I think LSU is going to go in on the road and take down Clemson. But we'll see. Should be a good game. New Mexico is at Michigan. Obviously, I think Michigan should win. I think they are going with a freshman quarterback this year for their starter, so that'll be interesting to see how he does. Pine Bluff is on the road against Texas Tech, which Texas Tech should pick up a win. Same for USC. They host Missouri State, who Missouri State's a first-year FBS school. They transitioned this year from FCS to FBS. I think there was like 5-6 schools that transitioned this year. We got Southeast Louisiana playing Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech should win. Same for Utah State, who hosts UTEP, and Ole Miss, who's playing at home against Georgia State. Portland State's at BYU, which they had some drama over the offseason about their team rules and all that. I'm not going to get into that. But I think their quarterback or somebody got released, and then now he's with another school. Got Rice playing Louisiana. I think Raging Cajuns. We're going to pick Louisiana to take down Rice. And then North Texas should beat Lamar. And then I have Texas State taking down East Michigan. Of course, East Michigan's got that player. I'm not going to say his name. He's all over social media for his last name. The Michigan State struggled last year, so I don't think they're going to win. So we have about 8 games to go for Saturday, and then we have 3 more games, and then go ahead and get on out of here. So last couple games for Saturday, Abilene Christian versus Tulsa. I think Tulsa is going to win at home. Same for SMU, who's starting out ranked against East Texas A&M. New Mexico State's playing Bryant at home. They should pick up a win there as well. I got Georgia Southern beating Fresno State, making Fresno State 0-2 to start the year. Arizona State playing Northern Arizona. Should pick up a home win there on the in-state matchup. Got Idaho on the road against Washington State. Got Washington State winning maybe by like two scores, maybe like 14 points. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not one to do point scores just because points can go all over the place. It's a lot harder to predict points, just because you don't know, anything until that day. I feel like just picking a team who's going to win is probably a lot easier. I got California, or Cal, on the road against Oregon State. I think they'll pick up the road win. Hawaii is playing at Arizona. I know Hawaii, just won, but I think Arizona is going to win. I thought about it. I actually almost picked Hawaii, but, I'm not going to say Hawaii got lucky, but I think Stanford definitely misplayed a lot because they had a lead, and instead of just running the ball and running the clock out, they decided to throw it. Ended up getting picked off, and then that's how Hawaii tied it. And then they ended up going like 3-and-out relatively quickly, and then gave Hawaii almost like 2 minutes to go downfield, get into field goal range. Got Utah on the road against UCLA. Got UCLA winning that one. And the last game for Saturday, we got Washington taking down Colorado State. Colorado State, I've noticed over the last couple seasons, probably like the last 10 seasons, they've had struggles against FCS schools, which is usually the first week or so of the season. So I think they're going to have another slow start. So we got 3 more picks to go over, 2 for Sunday and 1 for Monday. And then I'll wrap up week 1. If this video goes well, make a week 2 prediction as well, and then I'll go over, how many I got right and how many I got wrong. Again, basketball's usually my kind of, forte. Football, not so much. But I do keep up with college football enough, to make relatively educated guesses. So for Sunday, we have Virginia Tech on the road against South Carolina. I think South Carolina is going to win. They're starting off ranked this season as well. So hopefully they can pick up a win. And then Notre Dame, I have winning against Miami on the road. Again, another heavyweight matchup. Notre Dame last year lost in the college football championship. They played, who was it? Ohio State. Ended up losing. But, I think if Notre Dame actually joined a conference, they probably have a lot easier chance of winning the national championship. just because if since they're not in a conference, they don't get a first round bye. They have to play all the rounds of college football playoffs, which I have something to mention after these picks. And then the last pick for week 1 is TCU on the road against North Carolina Tar Heels. I got North Carolina winning. I think Bill Belichick's gonna come out, get out of the gates with a early pickup win against TCU. So those are my picks for the week. Again, I'll keep these papers, and then if this video goes well, then I'll make another one next week, and then so on and so forth. But back to what I was saying about the college football playoff. I think it was Big Ten and somebody else, or I know Big Ten was involved. They're trying to expand the playoff to, what was it, like 30 some odd teams. They want the Big Ten to have a specific amount of automatic bids. Same for, I think the Big 12, SEC, and ACC would all have, I think, like 4 or 5 automatic bids, which I always thought that the college football playoff was small. Just compared to the other sports, they used to only have like 4 and then 8. I know the 8 was kind of, pushing it. But the only bad thing is if it was so many teams, they'd have to start it sooner, which would mean either start the football season sooner, which I doubt they do, or cut the game numbers down by like a game or two, just to give them the extra week of rest. But we'll see what happens there. I know ESPN notification popped up this morning about something about high schoolers and NIL money, and some other stuff. Again, NIL money and all that, I think's ruining the sport, just because you have kids and athletes who are every year transferring to a new school, whether it be because of playtime or they're not winning or something. I was watching basketball a lot last season, and one of the announcers was saying somebody was like a 5th-year senior on his 5th different team, and I was like, what? And like I didn't like transferring schools just for academics, because it's a whole new system. I could not imagine going to 5 different colleges in 5 years. That's just mind-boggling. Especially because some of these players, they have full rides or whatever, and they'll just transfer another school whether they don't like their play time or I'm not gonna say pay checks they're getting, but we'll just say benefits they're getting, for playing, or they're just not winning. Because obviously every player wants to get a championship, or at least a bowl game. Bowl games are relatively easy. You only got to win like 6 games. So bowl games are relatively easy to get. I know playoffs is really hard. I think there's only 8 teams that can get in out of hundreds of teams. I think 182 total. So, yeah. So that's just my opinion on the whole transfer portal and NIL money. I don't like it personally, because every year teams are basically a whole new team. Very rarely do you get players that actually stick around for the whole time. Now, I do agree, with somewhat transfer portal. If you start JUCO and then you go to like D2 and then you get to D1, sure. But if you're jumping around from, say, LSU to Auburn to South Carolina, just stuff like that, I don't really understand that. Because there's players that would love to have that opportunity, but with everybody shifting around, it makes it a little bit harder to for some people to get their spots. So I'll quit talking about that. If you guys like this video, let me know in the comments, and I'll do another one. I knew this was rather long video, but I'm going over probably about 60, 70 games. I didn't include just FCS schools. If it was 2 FCS schools, I didn't include it. If it was FCS versus FBS, I did, or FBS and FBS, I did. But yeah, so that's it for this video. Again, let me know if you like this kind of video, and I'll do another one. If not, I might just do it anyway. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So hopefully everybody's having a good week so far. Today is, I believe, Wednesday, so it's hump day. After today, only got 2 more days this week, and then off for the weekend and ready for some college football. Glad the temperatures are cooling down. Definitely feeling like fall weather. Finally, after some really hot summer months. So go ahead and let you guys go. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video and go watch some college football. Until next time, guys. See ya.